So Keren is currently the CEO of OCON Healthcare, a leading women's health company with a mission to introduce innovative, high-quality intrauterine drug delivery technology to improve and impact women's health and quality of life. Keren is a seasoned executive with over 20 years' experience in the medical device and pharmaceutical industries, specialized in the management of innovative startups, strategy, commercialization, business development, and financing. She was the former VC at the Dutch pharmaceutical company Visu Pharma and CEO at Visai, part of the BioLite Life Sciences Group. She is also a mentor at the 8400 Health Network. I believe in strengthening women, and I make sure to lead with passion, integrity, and focus on my brilliant team of mostly women, service providers, and customers. I make sure to donate my time and my earnings to and with women that are starting out their career path and those who have made choices that require mentoring. I love what I do, and I do what I love. Keren, we look forward to hearing about your key learnings and the promise and potential of women's healthcare technologies.
Thank you very much, Michal, for having me today. I'm excited to introduce what OCON is doing. I'm still in awe from Allison's presentation. I just wanted to have it go on and not have her stop. I want to echo what she said about gender lens, and kind of demonstrate what we're doing here, which is only women's health. And so we're only focusing on women. And it's a pleasure for us to be an Israeli company really leading women's health space with very innovative technologies. We're taking women's health even a step further when we look at current available therapies that are oral, right? These are drugs that we take. And we want to make sure that we move away from all the systemic side effects of these oral drugs and put them directly at the target tissue. And we today target the uterus, but in the future, we may target other organs as well. So OCON is not a very young company. We've been around for about 10 years. I took the realm about 1.5 years ago. And we are a women-led women's health company. We're 85% women in all of our departments. We have our own manufacturing facilities. We have our labs with our R&D. We have our clinical and medical, regulatory and quality departments, all led by wonderful women. We do have a few men as well. We recently won the Frost & Sullivan Innovation Leadership Award, which made us very proud as a team because we work very hard to make sure that we bring innovation to this space. We are headquartered in Modi'in, that's right between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem near the airport, but we do have offices in Europe where we have wonderful women there helping with our operations. So we deliver drugs to the uterus in a very cool, for lack of a better word, 3D smart ball. And the reason this is so cool is because finally there's a product that fits the women's anatomy. So we first and foremost have our flagship product, which is called the IUB, Intrauterine Ball Ballerine, which is used today by 100,000 women. And we promote and sell it all over the world, except for the US and China, which we are also looking forward to bringing to market. Our next innovation looks the same. It's on the same platform technology, and it's called the Seed. And it deals with women that have heavy menstrual bleeding or abnormal uterine bleeding. I'll talk a little bit more about these products, but I want to show you all of the different applications we have for delivering drugs to the uterus. And these are usually drugs that are taken in forms of pills, hormonal pills, and they treat various indications such as endometriosis, such as uterine fibroids, such as abnormal uterine bleeding and menopause. We want to move away from these systemic side effects and be able to deliver these drugs directly to the target tissue. So OCON is really building a hub of women's health where we will have pillars of technology. So we'll have a pillar for contraception, which will include both a hormonal and a non-hormonal contraception availability. We are going to look at a pillar for therapies, which include all of these conditions and diseases that I've mentioned. We may look at pillars for vaginal health, And we also want to look at a pillar for data management. We want to build the biggest AI in women's health. Why not put a little chip on these balls? They're in our bodies anyway, and have an internal wearable. And so we can monitor disease progression, we can monitor our glucose level, we can monitor anything that has to do with our stress and with our hormones, and of course, anything else that we desire. So when you look at the traditional IUDs, and this means intrauterine devices that are available today, and you look at the small ball, you immediately see that there's a big difference just in the shape. These traditional IUDs, and today they're available both non-hormonal and hormonal, are simply too big for us. They're too big for the average uterus. And what happens is, and I'll show you in a minute, they bend, they malposition, they perforate. And we want to introduce this technology in a smaller, more fitting platform. And why is that? When we look at the uterus is actually a cavity. And in a 3D cavity, you need to put a small little ball that fits this cavity perfectly and that is pliable, flexible, doesn't have any sharp edges, won't create a lot of stress inside the uterus. When you try to take a two-dimensional T-shaped IUD into the uterus, look what may happen. If you look at the left hand of the screen, you see that devices that are slightly big for the uterus may perforate. If you look at the bottom hand side, devices that are too big for the uterus may malposition. And this is one of the biggest concerns we have with T-shaped IUDs that are, again, too big for the average uterus. They malposition, they perforate, it hurts, it's uncomfortable. These are products that women need to wear for a very long time. And in doing so, women give up. They don't want to have a lifestyle choice for contraception that doesn't fit their specific anatomy and creates pain and bleeding and other side effects. So look at what we developed here at OCON. We have a small little ball that folds away from the uterine walls. So it protects the uterus so that it doesn't perforate. It's very small, it's very pliable. It doesn't block our fallopian tubes. We see an increased safety profile with our product. And this is just our first revolution in terms of delivering drugs to the uterus. So this ballerine uses copper, which is non-hormonal, to form a contraception device. And of course, as I mentioned, we will have other therapies to show as well. So we do have 100,000 users, including myself. I saw this ball, and I'm a non-hormonal contraception user my entire life. And I love it. I think it does what it needs to do. It's not a better product than the T-shaped IUDs. It won't provide higher rates of contraception effect. 99% is 99%, but it does cater to a higher safety profile. And what we see from looking at the literature and from looking at our clinical data, our vigilance data on these 100,000 women, is that we see a lot less perforations, a lot less ectopic pregnancies, and there's no malposition. A ball would remain a ball no matter which way it turns. I'm going to move on to our second innovation, and this is truly disruptive. So this little tiny product is used for women that have abnormal uterine bleeding. Today, women that suffer from abnormal uterine bleeding only have two options. Option number one is to get hormones either orally through a pill or in a device. And if they're counterindicated to hormones, can't tolerate the side effect of hormones, are simply done with hormones or don't feel well with hormones, the only other option that they have is to go into very aggressive procedures in the hospital that physically remove the lining of the uterus. And by physically removing the lining of the uterus, this causes, in many cases, almost 30 to 50%, the uterus walls stick together. And if women continue to bleed for any reason, the uterus needs to be removed. So a full hysterectomy. These are very, very aggressive technologies that we want to move away from. Why is the seed such a revolution? Because it brings a new paradigm of treatment. This is a small little IUD. It's very simple to introduce into the uterus, and I'll show you how it works. It doesn't require anesthesia, doesn't even require an Advil. Women come into their doctor's office in the community. They can have this treatment done in 30 minutes. They leave, and they really show a lot less bleeding from our clinical studies. Take a look how this works. So this also is introduced into the uterus, just like the ballerine. So it folds away from the uterine walls, protecting the uterus, and forms into a little ball. Then these little balls melt into a very thick paste, and this paste chemically ablates our uterine lining. The device is then naked, is removed outside of the uterus, and the women can go home. And when we look at this standalone once and done device compared to the big capital equipment that we see in hospitals today, we immediately understand that this is a non-invasive, safe, and very simple, elegant procedure for women suffering from abnormal uterine bleeding. And when we talk about these women, we're talking about 1 in 4. So if it's not you, it's your mother or your friend or your sister. One of us is suffering from abnormal uterine bleeding. Last but not least, OCON is a women's-led company, and as such, we truly, truly believe in diversity and inclusion. And this goes the other way around, so we do allow men to work for us as well. But we really do, even within our female-led group, we really focus on diversity. And this means women of all age groups, of all sizes, nationalities, cultures. We make sure to employ women that are from their student days all the way through grandmothers that we have. I'm really proud to see my team sit around the table and have so many different points of view and life experiences. It's just fantastic. And all of us have a say because we are dealing with our types of conditions. And even if we don't suffer from them specifically, we can absolutely relate to what they feel, look, or are. OCON recently took upon itself to adopt a college for women that have escaped the prostitution cycle. And so the Israeli government gives them mental tools to handle, this escape. And then this college does a great job at giving them education. And what OCON does, which is the last station in this, is give them jobs. And so we have all the departments here. Why not include them in our marketing department, in our administration department, in our packaging and quality departments? And so these women are wonderful and they can assist. Of course, they come for pay for short durations or longer durations, but we can give them a job and can give them a reference and to show them, how work looks like when they're done taking care of themselves as they do. I myself am an advocate for women's health. I love what I do, and I do what I love, just as Michal said. And I think that if we lift each other up and help each other, we'll be able to reach so much more. OCON wants to become a hub in women's health. I do a lot in order to learn more about all types of disease areas possible. I give from my network and from my time. I introduce as many as I can, and I also mentor. I think that when we have experience and we learn so much from all the work that we've done, not necessarily only in women's health, but leading companies, transforming companies, taking companies to the market, fundraising, anything we can do is very stressful, very hard. And so if I can help entrepreneurs, I am more than happy to do so. And I dedicate my time today through the 8400 Health Network, but also individually to women that ask for it. I am done. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Keren, for sharing your insights from the field and how much promise the future holds for women's health, how diversity benefits organizations, and the importance of sisterhood in your community commitment. So, Ronel, over to you.